Hello, 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 hello. Hi,
Hello.
Kate fan. Hello. Welcome to another exciting episode of Kate in Conversation. I'm Kate,
I'm Fee,
and this
and
is Kate.
welcome to Taping and Conversation.
Yes, yes, yes. So we're gonna get right into it. Me and my bestie, we were just having a conversation, and we said, you know what?
Yeah,
Let's take it to the Cafinators. We've had a lot of
yes.
response this week from our fans, our listeners.
Hmm.
So yes, it's Friday night, and we said, you know what? We're here gassing on the phone. Let's get on here and gas with our listeners and our supporters. So
Absolutely.
we were just having a conversation talking about uh just being resilient
Hmm.
for relationship. And I know we titled it resilience and understanding after a failed relationship. And
Absolutely.
as soon as I put that in, I thought, oh, I don't think that is the thing that we should have called it. But we're gonna go ahead and keep it at that title because I do believe that yes, the relationship has ended, but does
Hmm.
that mean it was a failure?
Yeah. And I think,
Right?
well, maybe the relationship was a failure, but not the person. How about that? I think we have all had failed relationships or relationships that wasn't successful, but I don't think we should equate our relationship to our person, if that makes sense.
Right.
Because the relationship failed don't mean that we're failures.
And I still wouldn't even think of it as being unsuccessful because the success comes from the list, the experience, and it comes from there had to have been a lesson. And I think most people don't take the time to find out what that lesson was and what they learned for themselves in
Think
that
you can learn
relationship.
from failures, though. I think you can learn from a failed relationship. I think when we fail or something is not successful, doesn't mean that you don't learn. And I think it's in the lessons that we continue to grow.
Right.
Um,
But what
did the
make it
relationship fail? Absolutely. But did we learn something from it? Absolutely.
but why was it I wouldn't say it wasn't successful because the lesson should have been the lesson of that relationship is the success that hopefully you came out with your mental capacity still intact, but
Mhm.
also that the success was you learned something about yourself and it taught you something. So I don't know, I guess it's just the nuance of words.
Yeah.
But
And it's maybe about how you think about it, because
right.
if you're in a relationship, for me, if I'm in a relationship and it don't work, it wasn't successful for me. Can I learn something from it? Absolutely. Just like you may lose a job, it didn't work out for you. Could you learn something like how you could have interviewed better, how you could have performed on a job better? But
But but
that
I
was a
think but I think when it comes to relationship and then saying that it wasn't a success,
if it was a success case, you would still be in it.
no, I because you weren't supposed to be in it. No, I don't think so. I know. I guess it's the word play. I don't think so because even if it lasted a day, isn't that a success that you gave your heart and your soul to someone else and it taught you a lesson? That's the success
No,
to me.
no.
What? So the success can only be if you
I
went the
guess it's,
distance until death do us part. I don't believe
well,
that.
well, I guess it's individual. I guess it depends on how you define success. For me, a successful relationship is one that works out, a happily
And,
ever
and,
after. That's how
what
I
does
define.
what does work out mean?
If it works out, if we stay together, if we work it out.
Until
That's a
death do us
successful
part.
relationship. Yeah, absolutely. For me, that's for me. Now, other women may define it different. And like you said, for you, if I learned something from it, it was success, a success. I think even well, for me, even in my failures, I have learned something that when I do something again, I do it differently. Even
Mm.
in this relationship that I'm in now with Cobb, I think it's successful because we're still together. How we had our bumps and bruises, our ups and downs, yeah, and we're continuing to learn. And those things that I learned from it, then I apply it and keep moving. But if him and I were to go get divorced tomorrow, I wouldn't say this marriage was a success. That ain't the terminology
But
I
it
think
was
I would use.
but that's well, I guess again it's interpretation because I would say
Yeah.
it was a success. 20 plus years with someone, the ups and the downs, and it's not all bad. but you gave your heart to someone, it didn't work out, but you can't be upset about it. You don't want to go scorch the earth and
Oh,
burn.
I will. Oh, wait. I will most definitely be upset about it. If I haven't given, keep in mind now, I'm 51. We've been together 26 years. So if I'm giving somebody half of my life and it don't work out, no, I ain't gonna be happy about that.
So,
I'm gonna be bitter, but I will be resilient.
well, and I think, again, talking about resilience, what does that mean for us as women, right?
Well,
Because
resilience.
I heard something earlier today talking about resilience, and I thought that we could definitely have our own perspective on what resilience mean and how we can empower other people. I don't want to say empower other men because it's rough out here, and I think men too need to hear a word and a lesson
Mhm,
about resiliency and how you pick up yourself after a failed whatever or a
mhm,
not successful relationship, whether that's an intimate relationship,
mhm,
family relationship, work relationship, and what that mean. How do you push through? You're faced with adversity, and again, for me, the lesson or the is getting through it and getting to the other side, and
mhm.
know what, learning something from that experience and having the courage and the energy to just push through because like they say back in the day, darkness don't last forever. So
Mhm,
it's a matter of picking yourself up, getting through it, find support where you find support. Now for me, I
mhm,
don't tend to like to ask for help. I wait
mhm,
until I get through something and then
mhm.
I will share it.
Yeah.
um Friends and
I
family
don't
all.
think that's always a good thing. You're not my only friend that does that. And I don't think that's a good thing because when you're going through, I think your friends or family or people can close to you can help you in that what we call storms of life. But then if you say something after the fact, it could have been a little bit easier for you had you said something.
um I get that, but sometimes you just don't want the outside opinions, especially when people aren't very encouraging and they're like, "Oh my God," you're hearing the dreary word, "Oh my God, what you gonna do?" I'm like, "Oh God, I don't need this. I figured it out on my own." So,
Hmm.
and then when you get to the other side, whether it's you've gotten through it, you were successful or not, then as you know me, I like to share then. But sometimes it's just the weight of other people' opinion that just weigh you down and you're already feeling anxious about something and now you're
Hmm.
having to deal with everybody else's negativity or whatever the case may
Or
be.
I
So
told you so. Yeah, or I
yeah,
told you
I
so.
don't want to hear it.
Well, I
If you
guess it depends on what you're going through. I guess it depends on what you're going through. If it's
yeah.
maybe something financial, if it's maybe something health wise, uh, you know, like my sister, for example, it was a minute before she shared with people, what was going on with her health wise. But people could have been praying for her, encouraging her, trying to lift up her spirits. Some things I just don't think that you should go through alone. Now, when it comes to relationships, I can see what you're saying, especially if people were against the relationship in the beginning. You really don't want to hear that "I told you so," or you know what I'm saying. So I can
Mhm.
get it when it comes to a relationship.
Right.
I get that. I
And
get
that's
that.
that's another thing I am learning. And I hope the caffeinators understand that too. More and more I've delved deeper and deeper into trying to understand relationships, healing myself over the last few years and being open to a more mature, loving relationship, which I believe I've found and I'm successful at, even though it's just been a few months. And we've shared
Mhm,
that with our caffeinators before.
mhm,
Um, the best thing too, if you're looking for a relationship that's meaningful, that supports you, sometimes there's just some things you should not involve family and friends. And
mhm.
I have learned this, and we're going to talk about Queen's Court too, because they've mentioned this quite a few times through,
Oh,
especially
I'm loving that show. I'm loving it, loving it, loving it.
I love it because there's so many gems and so many of the things that we've been talking about over the last few
Hmm.
months that they're definitely highlighted, which is
Hmm.
one, going and taking care of your own mental health. If you are not all the way together mentally, I don't
Hmm.
think you should be dating. You should be dating yourself and healing
Hmm.
yourself before you bring somebody else into your storm.
Hmm.
And I'm
I
telling you,
agree.
once you identify your own values and know that you're worth it, you can see the time wasters a mile away.
Hmm.
So I can appreciate that part of a relationship,
Mm-hmm.
meaning um being open and ready to have a meaningful, strong relationship, not
Mm-hmm.
involving your friends and your family to invite them into having an opinion about your relationship, because when the sun goes down, when the doors are closed, you're left to handle your relationship. So
Absolutely.
like I was saying, Tamar mentioned something about that they had a family day, and she said she's not inviting one she's not inviting anyone to be a part of family day. She said, this is my relationship, and if I can't choose the right person for me, I don't need anyone else's opinion to matter but mine and the person, if I find someone.
Mm-hmm.
And that has ring true, because with and what the point I was really trying to make,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
cafinators, if you have to call someone to ask them about your relationship, tell the person that you're in a relationship that it's over. That's not where you want to be, because if you're not feeling safe and secure that you can go to your partner and talk to them about anything, that that's not where you need to be.
Well,
Honestly, just go.
well, I haven't saw the episode yet about the family day. I'm going to respectfully disagree a bit. I see where you're going with that. I see where you said, well, she's not going to invite the family because she want to make a decision on her own. But it depends on the show and what they meant by family day, because sometimes people can see what you can't see.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you can get caught up in the exterior, or you can get caught up, like you can tell that Tamar is very caught up in JR, right? Even Nivea, one of the things that she said was, I know, one of the guys, she like, I know this will be the perfect man. I know this is what I need in my life. I know this is, we can live a happily ever after. But this person over here, he keep calling my body, keep yearning for him, even though I know that that may not be good for me. And so sometimes if you're not completely healed and whole and you're still on that journey, sometimes you can still get caught up in the things you used to do, or make those same choices. And I even heard Tamar say that. She said, I want to be so careful that I don't, do the same thing that I've been doing and choosing the same thing I've been choosing. So sometimes where I think family and friends to come in at, I'm not necessarily saying Tamar family, because, they have their own dynamics that I don't, agree with. But I do think if you got people who genuinely care about you, friends, family, sometimes they can see what we can't see,
Now
if
here's
it's
the thing,
making sense.
and I
Because
can
we look at the exterior, because she's looking at, this is some fine vanilla here and blah blah blah. But are you seeing past the exterior, and are you looking
oh,
at the
well,
heart?
that's what I'm going to say. Now, if you've done the work, and we've talked
Mm-hmm.
about that, we talked about doing the work on yourself over the last few months. If you've done the work, you do not need to get people from the outside to tell you, yeah, this is somebody that you should be dating. And that's just the real. Because
Is
for
the
myself,
work not ongoing?
yes, but there's some basic things that you should have already done before you even started dating. If you haven't done that basic work,
I
which
agree.
is
Mm-hmm.
one, healing your inner self, healing that little child that you feel that your parents didn't hug you enough, didn't love you enough, childhood molestation, whatever the case may be. You should
Mm-hmm.
not be dating if you have not resolved those issues within yourself. And I am telling you, for someone who is at 55 years old and experiencing true love for the very first time, because I have, as I feel, I have worked on myself. I've laid a lot of stuff to rest. It happened. Let's move on and be open. One, which I've talked about quite a bit here, is being vulnerable, which is another theme that has come through so loudly on Queen's Court.
It
You
has.
you have to let people in, because we all sense when someone is holding back. You just do. And you know when someone is not being completely honest and genuine with you.
Mm-hmm.
So being here now at 55, and someone who wants to get to know me, wants to know what makes me tick, wants to know what I like and dislike, is completely different. And when I look back, and I often say this to Kevin, when I look back, what I'm experiencing now versus what I've chosen in the past, you're just so upset with yourself. But it has led me here that I can identify, because I was ready. because he's
Mhm.
always saying that, oh, I wish I'd at least met you 2 years ago or 5 years ago, how things could have been different and so on. And I look back and I say to him, I don't think it would have been different. I would not have been ready for you even 5 years ago, because there was still some work to be done. Because as you know, the ex before Kevin, I thought I was ready. I was very clear on what I was looking for, but I didn't recognize that the next person also had to want these things. And like, okay, so he's paying me attention, so he must want these things that I'm looking for. And no, he wasn't. And you
Mhm.
also have to pay attention to the fraud who they listen to you, hear what you want, and then say, yeah, 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 that's what I want too. When in
No,
actuality, it's not.
yeah, I understand what you're saying, but think about this for a minute, and this is how I'm looking at it. Now, with Evelyn and Nivea and Tamar, I think they are being vulnerable to the process.
Definitely.
I think they
Definitely.
are on a journey to wholeness, if not heal. For me, I think, counseling and healing and becoming whole, it's an ongoing process. I don't know if we ever get to the point of completion when it comes to healing. I think it's just
No,
an
it's
ongoing
daily.
process. And I like the point that Tamar said that uh, I'm continuing to go to counseling. I've been going for years and I'm gonna continue to go. And whoever I meet, they need to be okay with counseling. I love that about her. And so one of the things that um, I was going to say, if you think about the hospital, and I was just talking about this with my students just last week. We was talking about a skin assessment. Both of us, we're nurses. And so at Baptist, they have something, 4 eyes and 4 hours, right? Now, can a nurse go in individually and assess a patient's skin? Absolutely, she can. Is she competent enough to assess a person's skin? Absolutely. But they say 4 eyes and 4 hours because sometimes 4 eyes is better than two. And that's how I sort of look at it with the relationship and the family that you were talking about. Yeah, you can pick your own man. At the end of the day, as a grown 50-some-year-old adult, you have the final say, regardless of what your friends and family say. When I married my husband, my family had a lot to say, but at the end of the day, I made a choice to choose my husband. And so I still had the final say, even though I respected them enough to listen to what they had to say. I weighed it out and I moved forward in how I wanted to move as an adult. And that's all I'm saying about family day. I think it's okay because sometimes goes back to that skin, 4 eyes and 4 hours. You can see more with 4 eyes than you can with two. I think sometimes, again, having genuine people. Now, I can't really say the Tamar sisters is genuine. I was a fan of the Braxton show. I watched the show. To me, that's just not real sisterhood, even though they call it that. Now, have they begun a journey of holiness? Is there other sister that maybe? I don't know. I probably wouldn't want those sisters, but with genuine family and friends, they know what you like. They know what you want. They know what you need. They know the hurt and pain you've been through. And I don't think they would sit there and say, well, this person ain't for you, or this person is for you, if they genuinely care for you and they genuinely know you as a person. Does Tamar family really know her? I don't think so, because I think they're still stuck on the cuckoo crazy Tamar. And sometimes, and that's another thing, sometimes when you make mistakes in life or you're going through what you call your cuckoo crazy seasons, people always see you as that person.
Yeah.
Even now at 52, when I run into family members, they still see me as Stevie from the block. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? The ghetto
For
feed, the
sure.
hood feed, the fighting feed, the drinking feed, whatever I was in the past. They don't see the evolved feed, the feed with a degree, the instructor feed, the professor feed, the nonprofit feed. They don't see that, you
Yeah.
know.
For
So
sure.
sometimes people can't see your change. But I think when people know you and you have people genuinely in your corner who want to see you win, if you invite them to a family day and they meet this guy, they're gonna say, "Oh, think he's a good match for you," or "Hey, you know what? You may not see this, but I see some of the same traits in him I seen in your ex." Because sometimes you don't see that, and
Yeah.
and and that's why Nivea brought
But
that up. She
but
was like, the other guy is like guys she usually date, but I know this Matt guy is really what I need because my healing in my heart told me this the right guy. But the old Nivea in me, I want this brother over here that's calling my body.
yeah.
And that was just real conversation, and I love that. You was talking about resilience and what resilience mean. And of course, we know resilience mean, that bouncing back and being tough in relationships. But I do think relationships change you, but with resilience, you don't let it reduce you. And I
Yeah,
think that's the
I
important
like
thing. I
that.
think that's what we want the caffeinators to know. It's okay to allow these relationships to change you, but one thing about resilience, you won't let it reduce you. And sometimes that's what happens as women. If we're honest with ourselves, we get reduced by these relationships. Our self-esteem goes away. We start to blame ourselves for what went wrong. And I'm not saying we shouldn't take accountability for our part, but sometimes it's like a blow to our self-esteem, so we don't
Yeah,
feel worthy. We don't feel, like you know where I'm going with that.
yeah,
It's just, and so I think that's important not to let it reduce you in a relationship.
and I agree with that
Yeah.
wholeheartedly. And there was something that you said about not being reduced.
Mhm.
It'll come to me, but
It can change you, but it won't reduce you. Our relationships change us, either for the good or for the bad.
yeah, for sure.
And it's
But
okay
but
to let it change you, but hopefully it's for the better.
but I think it's that reduction that you're talking about. And that's the
Mhm.
thing. When you finally understand your value, you recognize it before they even open their mouth. You already know that they're on some BS, and then you can bypass. And if a man comes and they're offering something like they're it's not something you're with, it's okay to say
Mhm.
thank you. But that's just not where I am in my life, and it's okay.
And that's something that Tamar and Evelyn been really good about doing. They have been calling the BS.
Yeah,
Like, I'm not with the BS. I can see it from a mile away, and that's what you call growth. They
for
like,
sure.
But let me ask you this though,
Mm.
because I was watching episode three, maybe episode three, and it was one of the guys, and a nice looking guy, and he said he had four children, and one of them was a newborn, and that just did Tamar. It just, but okay, so the baby is a newborn, so the woman had to carry the baby 9 months. So is it possible that even, right before the baby was born, they maybe went through something? He maybe not knew that the woman was pregnant, and they broke up, and then she said, "Oh, I'm pregnant. You ain't gonna deny your child." So should that be and I'm just asking a question. Should that be like, because you got a newborn, you automatically cut?
You might need to go sit down somewhere and figure out your life and what you want. I'm sorry. What are you doing in the dating scene with a newborn? And then now
Mhm,
that other person is now involved in something they had no control over. And then
mhm,
here you go slipping back because I think this person actually had 3 kids for him, the
mhm,
newborn. Oh, like, why wouldn't you want to go and try and see how that can work if it can work?
mhm,
No, I'm with them wholeheartedly about that. No, sir.
mhm.
This is
Yeah.
and you on TV? That's crazy.
I was just asking,
Crazy.
and caffeinators, I want y'all to uh leave y'all opinion on that, because I guess because I've known somebody like that, like right before they got, and they didn't even know they was pregnant until like her and the guy had been broke up probably a good 5 months, and then she found out when she was pregnant. She called him. They didn't get back together. But what if he was out dating and be like, okay, I had a newborn. Me and her been broke up for a year and a half. You know what I'm saying? Or a year and does that make
Irresponsible.
you? Yeah. Nothing.
Irresponsible.
And he said, I still take care of my kids. I think you can take care of your kids without being with the mother. And I'm not defending him anyway, and I'm not on either side. I was just asking a question to our
No, it made him
audience.
look real silly on that show. You have a
Hmm.
newborn and you out here trying to date. That's crazy to me.
Hmm.
So
Yeah. So it ain't no question of like what happened before the baby came along. What if she
mm-mm.
was 6 months pregnant and told him they had already been broke up 6 months, and another 9 months they still went together?
It's just not a good look. And I'm telling you what, we us as women, we have a hard time because if the roles were reversed, we wouldn't have even been considered. I'm sorry, we wouldn't have been.
You're right. I agree.
You got a 2 month old and you out here dating? That's crazy.
I'm not going to even speak on that. I think you know what I'm talking about.
I do. We gonna leave that alone.
Yeah, I ain't gonna put my family on blast, but yeah.
That's
Yeah,
crazy.
it is. It really is. But I really, I apologize. I should have my phone off. I, um, I, I'm loving the show. I'm liking the fact that the women are on a journey to wholeness, and I'm just praying that they find love. I like how they're seeing through the BS. Everybody but Nivea. Nivea just on a whole nother.
She is. She having a good time. I like Nivea. She's a comic relief. She's
She just keep it 100. That's what
she
I like
does.
about my girl. She keep it 100, and I like that about her. I just hope she don't fall into that trap because she's saying it, but I hope she follow through. Because sometimes our heart knows what's right to do, but our body don't go with the follow through. And so I
And
hope
that's
she
what we
follow
need to
through.
get away from. Not
Yeah,
letting our bodies take over
dictate.
what we
Yeah,
know
dictate our
mentally.
actions. Mm-hmm.
And
Because she
really,
keeps saying it every episode. Now I'm only on episode 5, but every episode I have heard her say it every single time. Mac is the person for me, my tuition. And that's another thing as women, we got to start listening to our intuition.
our
We got to
internal
start
alarm.
listening to our intuition. Resilience is good, but intuition, is just as
Right
equally
up.
as important to listen to your heart. And she keeps saying my intuition, my heart telling me this is a good man over here, Mac, but my body, he wants this.
Yeah.
And she keeps saying it. So I hope she listened to her intuition, and I pray that she choose Mac. That's just my two
Yeah.
cents.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope she does.
You're right. You're right. And again,
Yeah.
I don't even think the Thai guy is I think he should have been back home.
Hmm.
But she keeping him around for
Absolutely.
whatever reason. So
So, what
we'll
do
see.
you think about Jr. for Tamar?
I like JR.
Hmm.
Even though he has 5 kids and 4 baby mamas. But here's the thing: if the roles
Oh, stop! Wait. Now, maybe I missed that part. Now, so
miss
you
that
want to
part.
send the other women? You want to send the other man home with the 4 kids, but you don't want to send the man home
No,
with
he
the
has
five.
6. Ty has 6 children. So between him and Nivea, they have 10 kids.
No, I'm talking about JR. You were trying to send the one with the
They,
newborn baby home who has
oh
4. And I
yeah, for
think you
sure.
said the 2 of his kids is by the newborn baby mom and one of them is by another woman. So he got 4. You want to send him home, but JR with the 5 kids, you ain't trying to send him home.
Uh JR doesn't have a newborn. Well, he got 2 2-year-olds. I mean,
I don't see.
hey, it's rough out here if you're trying to
I'm
date.
gonna play with you and Tamar.
I
I
like
am not gonna play with
I
you and
like
Tamar.
JR. I like JR, but here's the thing between the
2 years
two.
old, okay?
Yeah,
Two 2 year old.
2 2-year-olds.
Okay, but
So
he don't need to have
hold,
a separate seat.
hold on a second. Um, talking about JR versus that guy with the newborn. I can't remember. Kells. That's his name, Kells.
Mhm.
There's something about body language, and there's something to say about intuition and listening to a person. There's a completely different, there's a difference. You have to look at JR's body language, his face, his eyes when he's conversating with whomever is in front of him. Look how Kel's his attitude, the words, the tone, his body language when he was talking to, was it Evelyn?
Mhm.
To say he had a new, no, Tamar, when he had a newborn and 2 baby mamas, 4 kids, or however many kids he have. I don't know. They
He
really have a lot.
only had 4. I think he was just trying to be honest. I think
Yes,
he said, I
but
just
look
want to
at
put it out there.
look at his tone, his body language. Even when she said to him, like, so but you got a newborn, and how his face changed and actually got angry.
Hmm.
So you can already tell that that's going to be a problem. If you
Hmm.
get with him, he got an attitude. You're not even humble that you have these kids. You have all this history that you're coming forth. Now look at JR when he talks about his children and what a blessing they are, and he's trying to build a legacy, and this is a part of his legacy and the things that he's trying to do. He's not embarrassed by it. This guy is. And if you're embarrassed about having a newborn, 2 baby mamas, a bunch of kids, you may need to go work on yourself a little bit more.
What I'm thinking is he was embarrassed. I think he was reluctant. Like, how is this going to come off?
Why are you going to
And
be
I think he was
realistic
like,
about your
okay, because I'm
life?
on the dating scene. How, I like this female. How is she going to take a newborn? Is this the time to have the conversation or not? Because some things you need to just go ahead and put out there. Some things you probably need to wait and get to know the person better. So I think he was trying to decide, should I say this or not? It didn't
Yeah,
come
but
across
we're
like
also on we're on an accelerated program here, accelerated show. You got to come and be ready to just bare your soul. If your
Mhm.
true intent is,
And that's what got him voted off because he buried his soul.
yeah, not that he buried his soul, but it's I don't even think it's the fact that he said he had these kids and a newborn. I think it's the attitude that he had. You know, he himself isn't comfortable with it, and he needs to go get comfortable with his own history. So when he tells a
Maybe.
story, people can it'll resonate that he's proud of his children and he's proud of where he is. I don't think he was. He
What
isn't
you think
mature
about
enough.
Gatsby?
I think Gatsby was just put in there for comic relief. I don't think he was truly looking for a relationship. It came across so clearly, and there's a few of them
Hmm.
I think were just like fillers. I don't think they were
Hmm.
genuine suitors. So
Hmm. Yeah,
I
I would agree with that. Hmm. Would agree with that. And
so
so,
anyway, Cafinators, let us know what you're thinking about um,
yeah.
Queen's Court. Let us know a time when you had to be resilient and push through even when
Hmm.
it got hard and you got to the
Hmm.
other side. What lesson you learned? What you can
Yeah.
share with us. We're all here to learn and
Absolutely.
share and grow, and we
Hmm.
can only do that. I know people get embarrassed by their history, whatever that may
Hmm.
be, and I
Hmm.
over the last few years, and my bestie knows this, I think there is something in sharing your story, good, bad, or indifferent. You never know how
Hmm.
your story can bless someone and how it can save them from somewhere or something they don't need to be in. I also recognize
Absolutely.
that people, different people bring different things out of others. You might have been
Hmm.
with someone and they used to beat you every day and twice on Sunday, but they get
Hmm.
with someone else and that's not an issue for them.
Hmm.
So in saying that, share your stories. Don't be shamed by what you've experienced. It's a lesson. It's something that you had to go through. Sometimes it's
Hmm.
painful, hopefully, and you've learned
Hmm.
from that. In
Hmm.
dating Kevin now, and he tell me about his dating history and whatever it is, I always ask him, what did that relationship teach you? Because if you're just going through relationships and not taking the time to learn from it, you stand a high percentage of repeating the same issue. You keep
Hmm.
dating, and whatever the success of that relationship is, whatever that may mean to you, it's not going the distance.
Hmm.
Um, but if you don't take the time to understand what went wrong, what you could have done better, because like I said to Kevin, when you're in a relationship, it's not about the other person. It's always
Hmm.
about you. What
Absolutely.
you did, what you could have done differently, how you can improve for the next person. So, and I take that really seriously. My
Yeah.
my my bestie here is always trying to push me out to go and date. And I know over the last few years, I've always told her I don't even trust myself to even
Hmm.
date because I don't even know what I want, what I am expecting, and even how to get there. And I think it has a lot to do, and we've talked about this before,
Yeah.
that having a father and a mother in a child's life is so important. One,
Hmm.
for the girl to have her dad present in understanding how to communicate and have relationships with a man and understanding what is acceptable for you and what respect
Hmm.
is, how you respect yourself. And
Hmm.
the same um with having boys and them having a relationship with their mothers, how to treat a woman and seeing how their dad treat their mother. It's so
Hmm.
important. It's like lately I've been looking around wondering why are, yes, there's a lot of single parents out there, but why are these men who are being raised by single women so
Hmm.
disrespectful?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't understand it. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And so I am understanding that we are having to do something different. We're having to educate our children earlier about relationships and their failures. And I'm not saying you need to tell them don't let a woman and to tell the girl don't let a guy do. No, you need to tell them yes, it's great to be in love and someone loving you and being respected. But here are a few key things that you should be looking out for. I mentioned this to my mom that we need to start telling Aaliyah, who is 7, my niece,
Mm-hmm.
about relationships and so on. My mom is like, she's only 7. So my thing is, and K-Finators, you can chime in and let us know, leave a comment, and our podcaster, our Podbean listeners, let me know. My mom says she's too young. I'm like, so when is it the right age to tell your children what relationships should look like? Because I don't
Mm-hmm.
believe that. You don't wait till your girl or your son get to 21 to now want to tell them about relationship. You need to
Mm-hmm.
start early, and you do it age appropriately. You need to tell your 7-year-old how to respect themselves, and you have to keep saying it, because we all know as they get older they start to tune you up, but they are listening. They are
Mm-hmm.
making mental notes.
Yeah.
But that's my perspective on what I've learned.
I agree with that. And, we're talking about that resilience thing, you having those conversations and just telling your story. I think that's so very important, which is why I wrote From a Whore to a Housewife. If y'all haven't gotten that book, go to Amazon.com, From a Whore to a
Yes.
Housewife. Shameless plug. But not that I'm trying to sell a book, but it's so
Yes, we
important. It
are. We're
was
trying to
important to
sell
me.
books over here and t-shirts. Yes, we are.
No, it was important for me to tell my story, not only for myself, for my daughter, for my granddaughters, and let them know it's okay to make mistakes, but then what do you learn from it, and how to be resilient, and how not to be reduced from it, and how to move forward, and to know I'm not my past. I actually wear a t-shirt that says I'm not my past, and no matter how people try to keep you in that box, don't allow them to keep you in that box.
Yes, yes.
Because they just try to keep you caged in that era in your life, and you like, that ain't even me no more, boo.
Exactly. How about you try to get to know 2023 me? And I think that's
Okay.
a big thing. And I think that's one of the things I definitely want women, young girls, young boys, and men to know. Whatever
Mm-hmm.
you used to do doesn't mean that's what you have to do today. And a lot
Mm-hmm.
of people like to, my grandma used to always say, like crab in a bucket. They don't want to see you rise. They want to pull you back down, and then you get
Exactly.
so beat down, right, by by other people's perception of who they think you are. So therefore, well, that's who they think I am, so you remain the same. You don't change. But you
Okay.
don't have to. That's what's so beautiful about life, is that you can recreate yourself 20 times a day, and hopefully for the better.
Absolutely. All
In
right.
any
So,
case,
Caffeinators,
yes,
we,
Kate, we want to hear from you. Pose us some
yes.
questions, leave us a like, a
And
comment,
tell somebody to
share,
tell somebody.
to
Follow, share,
tell
like,
somebody.
subscribe. Yes.
Catch us
And
on
share
all
this with
platforms.
somebody.
We're on TikTok, we're on Facebook, we're on YouTube. We started our Podbean. We're here on Wisdom. So let us know what you think of our show. We're gonna try, and again, we try to do Sunday because we're both very busy. My
Mm-hmm.
bestie here, she finished her doctorate program next month, and I started my
And my
doctorate
bestie has
program.
started her doctorate program.
Yeah, so I'll finish in a year. I'm doing an accelerated program. So we're definitely out here. And again, we did not start our journey until we were in our 30s. We went back to
Mm-hmm.
school. I actually started first. And again, when you have your friends and you're going on a life-changing experience, when people mean something to you, you don't want to leave them behind. And I called my friend and I said, this is what I'm going to do. And my bestie here says, well, you are not leaving me behind. And she was up for the challenge. And I'm telling you, you get to a certain age, you get to a particular age in life, them cobwebs and them brain cells don't tick like they used to. And but here we are. And it's been what, about 15, 16 years? Well, I've been
Yes.
a nurse in 16. So, girl, almost 20 years that we went back to school.
Yeah.
And but you know what? We're going to do another podcast and we're going to tell you about our experience. How about that? We're not going to
Yes.
stop in
Yes.
right now. This is about resilience, understanding, and giving your inner self a hug. Like, it's okay. And every day we wake up, it's an opportunity to be better than we were yesterday. So, if nothing else, I hope you can use this information to grow, to learn, and remember what we said. Now, go ahead and leave us a like, subscribe, share. Catch us on all the platforms that we said. And we're going to leave those our links below. And it's been great spending this Friday night with you. Thank
Yes.
you, K-Finators. Anyway,
I'm
I'm Kay,
Roy. I'm Fee.
and you're listening to K-Fin in
Being in
Conversation.
conversation.